Today in the garage, live from CES 2025, Red Hat. Let's go. Welcome to the garage. I'm John Heinlein, Chief Marketing Officer from Sonatus. We're recording live at CES 2025 from Las Vegas. We're pleased today to welcome Francis Chow. Francis is VP and General Manager of In-Vehicle OS and Edge at Red Hat. Francis, welcome to the garage.
John, thank you so much for having me.
You know, we've known each other for years. I know, in fact, we met during COVID, as I recall,
Yes.
and our first many meetings were virtual. So it was so nice to finally meet you in person a few years ago. And we're thrilled to have you on the podcast. Can we start by telling us a little bit about you and your background?
I am an engineer by training. I actually started my career in semiconductor, and I've gone through a bunch of roles from
So did I.
From design to corporate development, and then marketing, pre-sales, and towards the end, I was managing the telecom business for a semi company. And then I ventured into the software world. So in the past 9 years, I have been in enterprise software.
Fantastic. And tell us about your role, about Red Hat in general and your role at Red Hat.
Red Hat, for those who are not familiar with us, we are the largest open source software company. And we started our journey about 30 years ago when we decided that instead of filing patents for expensive proprietary products, the best way to design software is with open collaboration. And my role at Red Hat, as you said, I'm responsible for in-vehicle OS and Edge. Right? That sounds a bit strange, partly because I have a dual role.
Right.
Part of that is a product role in the business unit where we're building and trying to grow the business with in-vehicle operating system, and we can talk more about that. And I also have the portfolio responsibility for Edge, so trying to work through our portfolio on applying those on Edge and operations technology use cases.
That's great. And Red Hat was acquired by IBM, was it last year or year before? Is that right?
Red Hat, I believe it was acquired by IBM in 2019 or 18.
Okay, so a little further back.
Yeah.
How has that synergy been helpful for you?
It's been going great. I think IBM graciously gave us a lot of freedom on how to run our business. And there are a lot of collaboration between the two companies today, both on technology and go-to-market sides.
That's great. So we always like to get to know our guests right at the beginning. And I'd love you to share with us a fun fact about you.
Sure. I think a fun fact about me is at one point in my life, I was in a Catholic band.
Catholic and band are not two words you hear together all the time.
You're absolutely right. So the background of that was that I'm a born Catholic. So
me too.
I've been Catholic all my life. And I'm also into music. I was doing choral music for about 10 years. And at one point we thought, hey, the music for Mass is a little bit boring. Maybe we should spice it up a little bit. So that's kind of the motivation, right, for us to form a band. I do vocal, I play guitar, and it's been a fun journey.
That's fantastic. I always try to share a fun fact back to match my guest, and so I think I have to share back that I played classical guitar as a kid for many years. I'm very rusty, and I'm definitely not as talented as you, I'm sure. But it was something from my background. But I also need to share a bonus fun fact, and I don't even know if you know this. But you were talking about your background with Red Hat. When my previous startup company, which was many years ago, was a company called Transmeta, which was we
talked to Transmeta when I was in semiconductor.
And that's right. But 3 people before me, I was like number 88 at Transmeta, and 3 people before me was a guy named Linus Torvalds.
No kidding.
And he was my coworker for many years. He was hired like a month before me. His first Thanksgiving in the U.S., we sat together at Thanksgiving for his first Thanksgiving in the U.S. Fantastic guy. He's a really clever guy. Really got to know him. And so when Red Hat came out and went public and everything, it was really exciting to see his work getting made public and more common. It was great. Yeah. So there's our bonus fun fact for the day.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So look, the podcast here and also at the show, we talk extensively about SDV. I think it would be good to start by saying, why is SDV important? Why should we be talking about SDV? What are the opportunities and challenges that SDV brings?
I think if you look at the automotive industry, what we've been observing is that the customer are demanding more capabilities, more safety, more functions, more personalizations.
And the customer meaning the driver.
The driver, yes.
That's right.
And the way to do that is not to do it in the old way that the industry has been doing, which is building bespoke systems that are very difficult to reuse and maintain and update over time. We believe there's a way to bring from other industries that has gone through the journey of software-defined architecture, like in the data center,
Exactly.
like in the telecom network.
Right.
And a lot of these learnings has been proven in other industries, and we can bring those know-how and expertise into automotive. And what we think is because of the complexity of the vehicles systems have been becoming, there is an opportunity for us to simplify the design, maintenance, and update. And the way to do it is to leverage a lot of the software-defined concepts that has been proven in other industries.
I think it's such an important thing you're saying there, because we talk a lot about this on the podcast and also at Sonatus, because sometimes I get the pushback from customers or people, oh gosh, software is hard, or oh my gosh, you're going to put software in vehicles. There's already software in vehicles, but it's done in a way that's not maintainable, not scalable, impossible to validate. And many of these, as you say, many of these problems are known problems, are solved problems in software-defined networking, software-defined data center. Workload isolation is sort of my pet favorite example. This is a solved problem in a data center where you're constantly running next to a workload you have no idea is there and it doesn't touch you. That's the same capabilities we need to put in vehicles. Okay, now in vehicles, sometimes they're real time, sometimes they're not real time. So there's some additional complexities, there's some additional safety. But the fundamental problem is well understood. And so I think we the industry, you and I, we're trying to do the kind of innovation to bring that to SDV.
Absolutely. I think there are a lot of learning that we can take from other industries to automotive. We've seen a lot of resistance. Partly is because the way it has been done has been a very long time. It's proven, but not optimal. A lot of advancements in software in the past 20 years have not been brought to the automotive world.
Right.
And what we hope is that we can be a part of the ecosystem to bring that into this industry.
That's right. And the other thing that we talk about, and we're showing some examples of this in the booth, which is just right outside there today, is customers are always asking, how do I make money with SDV? Okay, SDV is fine. I realize I need it. How do I make money? Well, the first thing is I think it's going to bring cost reductions. It's going to bring savings in the way things get engineered. The fallacy, the mistaken impression is software will be more expensive. What they're doing today is expensive. This will bring the opportunity after a period of transition, after a period of learning, of a much better architected, much more scalable, much more maintainable thing that they can save money. But then there's opportunities for revenue along the way. And we're showing some examples of how providing features to customers, providing capabilities, as you mentioned earlier, that evolve over time. The example I was talking earlier to a customer out here in the booth is a driver, they don't get upset for paying for something they value.
Yep.
They get upset for paying for something they don't value.
Yep.
And so our job in the industry is to enable the OEMs, enable the tier ones to provide valuable things that customers are excited to pay for. They're, please let me pay for that because that is such a great feature. That's the promise of SDV.
Absolutely. Like you said, SDV absolutely would be a way to address some of the cost challenges that industry is facing today. It's right, like you said, right? There will be a transition that's needed. OEMs and the ecosystems, we can need to work together to figure out how to accelerate the transition as soon as possible so that we are not adding costs to the existing programs, rather trying to figure out how to jumpstart, right, a new paradigm of design. And I think, as you said, the most exciting to me is when you have a software-defined platform, the possibilities of having an ecosystem, writing applications, adding capabilities to that platform, just like how we have experienced in your cell phone in the past 15 years. It's just, who would have thought
That's right.
what you can do with your cell phone today?
That's right.
15 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So you run, among other things, Red Hat in-vehicle OS. I'd love you to tell us a little bit about that offering and introduce that to our guests.
So one of the challenges, as I said, we have observed in the industry is that there's no easy way to design software. Currently, a lot of the systems are running on traditional Outdoors. There's a lot of hardware dependencies at times.
Or things like AutoSAR, of course.
Very difficult to update and maintain over a long period of time. And so as we move to a platform approach, silicons are getting more powerful. And there needs to be an operating system that sits between the applications and the hardware to give you that linkage to provide the capabilities and make it accessible to upper layer software and provide that abstraction so that you, as an application developer, you don't have to worry about the hardware dependencies as the hardware evolve over time. So what we would like to offer is to, again, bring from what we've learned from data center and other industries, an operating system that is at the cutting edge, that have all the advancements in software in the past 20, 30 years to make it easier for developers to develop applications for a vehicle that is still safe.
Right.
The key thing is we're not compromising on safety.
Right.
We want to bring productivity, cost savings,
right.
while maintaining safety.
That's right.
So what we're trying to bring is a safety-certified Linux operating system from the enterprise world to automotive world.
That's great. And I mean, obviously, there's no criticism of RTOS vendors. There's a lot of important RTOSs out there for many years. But what you said is important is it's a modern operating system that's easy for others to develop on. And that's not typically the case with RTOSs. It takes some specialized expertise to develop on an RTOS. You don't have the same infrastructure that you have on a Linux-based, a POSIX-based operating system. It unlocks a lot of productivity and a lot of scalability, I think, that's not typically possible.
And that's absolutely right? It's just the amount of talent, for example, you can find with Linux expertise is probably 100 to 1,000 times more compared to more traditional RTOS. And then we talked a bit about AI earlier, right? Almost all the AI technologies are developed on Linux, right? This is the right platform to develop new technologies.
That's right.
And as we getting into the AI era, as we speak, I think there's a lot of even unseen potentials that we can achieve with the right platform.
That's right. I showed you some demonstrations earlier in the booth. Today, this week at the show, we're rolling out a lot of AI technologies across many of our products and many more of them to come in 2025. All of that's based on top of a Linux-based environment. So we're very excited to work with you. So you're also going through your own safety certification journey. And I know that especially for an operating system like you, it's an especially arduous journey. Tell us a little bit about the process of going through safety certification.
Yes, John. I would say this is probably one of the toughest things I've ever done in my career. It's not like people haven't tried certifying Linux for safety. In fact, there has been a number of efforts that was attempted in the past 10 years by OEMs, by suppliers, so far without much success. So what we're trying to do is to bring in a newer approach that is still compliant to the standard, right? So we will be certified on ISO 26262 ASIL-B, but we're taking a more tailored approach so that we have a way to certify pre-existing open source software and still achieve the same risk objective of ISO 26262.
Interesting. It's tricky with pre-existing software because a lot of the safety methodology requires going into the development methodology from day one to do it right. So it's a different challenge, I think.
It is definitely a different challenge. But in the end, safety is quality.
Of course.
And Linux is a well-proven highest quality operating systems that supports many servers and applications today. So we're trying to kind of bring that proof point, right, to the industry that, hey, there are ways to prove that it's also safe with our quality record.
You know, Sonatus just completed our own safety journey because just in December, we announced that our Automator product has a safety module that's now ASIL-D for Delta certified, which is so important because customers want to use our Automator product in vehicles, but they'd been asking us, well, is this going to compromise safety? Can I use this while the vehicle is in motion without compromise? And so we've proven that that's the case. So we got to experience our own safety journey. It took us pretty much the better part of 2024 to develop the capabilities, the infrastructure, the know-how, and to develop this custom module called the Automator Safety Interlock. And as you say, for you, every product has a slightly different approach. For us, it's a safety module that sits between our product and the vehicle. That's a monitor that says, is this or is this not safe to do in this environment? And so it protects and allows us to preserve vehicle safety. And also, similar to your situation, we didn't have to prove or try to prove the entire Automator product because it's a larger product. We were able to certify this more focused module that serves as a gatekeeper to ensure that actions are safe. And so it's easy for OEMs to understand. It's easy for OEMs to be confident that it's a great solution. So it's been a journey for us too.
Yes. And to share a bit more about our journey, like you asked earlier, we have mapped out our path to safety about a year and a half ago. We've gone through the first step in the middle of last year, which is the math library certification, and we got the certificate. And it was more like a proof point that our tailored approach actually works within the confines of ISO 26262. Right. And I'm very happy to share with the audience that we just achieved the safety certification for mixed criticality.
That's great.
What that means is we certified that the number of key Linux subsystems to enable mixed criticality. That means we're able to run both safety and non-safety applications on the same OS without the need of hypervisors or multiple operating system that's been a need in the past.
That's great.
And that brings dramatic improvements on software system architecture, resource utilization, design, testing, deployment, and without compromising any safety concerns.
That's fantastic.
And we are excited that with this milestone that we are still on track to get a full product certification within this year.
That's great. Congratulations. We look forward to hearing you. We'll stay in touch and we'll talk more about that when you achieve that milestone. That's great. So we've been working together throughout this past year. Red Hat and Sonatus have been working together on some projects. I thought it'd be good to talk a little bit about the collaboration we did. Do you want to share some of your
Absolutely.
thoughts?
We're grateful to have Sonatus as part of our ecosystem, and we've been great partners. I think we share a lot of common principles on how we bring software-defined vehicles to the world. And what we've been working on is to pre-integrate our products so that it's ready to use, ready to deploy. A lot of the components that Sonatus has a component in the vehicle as well as a component in the cloud. Now, what Red Hat also brings to the automotive industry is not just our expertise in Linux, but our expertise in running cloud native environments.
Exactly.
So we can have the same operating system running in the car as well as in the cloud. So that collaboration with Sonatus to have a pre-integrated solution on multiple use cases has just been great.
That's fantastic. We're showing an example here at the show about how one can use our Sonatus collector product for better data collection. We're showing an example for battery management, but that's just an example. It can be applied to many other subsystems. And I was just showing you earlier in the booth that same collector product doing many other kind of capabilities with our new generative AI interface to collector, which is very powerful. So I think the sky's the limit with what we can do with that collaboration together.
Absolutely.
Let's think about big picture. If we pull back and think about the industry more generally, what's your advice? And we have a wide range of listeners. What's your advice to the industry and your outlook on where SDV is today, where it's going, and what are the challenges we need to solve?
What we're seeing is the industry is currently undergoing some economic challenges.
Yeah.
But this is not the time to pull back because technology is a way to address this challenge, and we believe it's probably the best way to address this challenge. We've been talking about software-defined vehicle for years, if not decades. I think the way to do it is similar actually to how open source works.
Yeah.
Let's start by doing. We'll contribute code in the open. We'll work together with the ecosystem in the open. We'll start by implementing things, executing things, trying things instead of talking about things.
Yeah, and it's such an important thing you say. And we often have this conversation with customers. They say, "Oh, it's too hard, it's too big." And I always say these funny anecdotes, and so maybe you think it's funny, or maybe you think it's useful. But there's an old saying: "Is how do you eat an elephant?" And the answer is one bite at a time.
Absolutely.
You don't have to swallow the whole elephant.
That's right.
It's a big problem. We can find parts of the problem to solve. And SDV is not a bit flip. You don't flip a bit and now I wasn't an SDV and now I am an SDV. It's a journey of pushing SDV throughout the vehicle. We can deliver tons of value by peeling off parts that were inefficient, that are designed stupidly in the old way, and make them better, make them more modern, and journey towards a better of eating the whole elephant, but it can happen over time.
And I would add that journey had to be done through collaboration.
That's right.
Just like between Sonatus and Red Hat, no company can or should do this alone.
That's right.
And again, we believe by collaborating in the open is the best way to make it happen.
Absolutely. Listeners, it's such a joy to have you on the show. I've been looking forward to having you here for a while. So glad we were able to make this work here at CES. We appreciate your partnership. We appreciate all the work you've done, and we look forward to great things ahead.
Thank you, John. I really appreciate the opportunity to discuss this.
Thank you. If you like what you're seeing on the show, please like and subscribe to hear more episodes from us. We've got many more episodes coming from CES 2025 and more to come from our studio back at home. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again soon.